Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another end of the year video. This is the finale of my project Pan. This year, for the whole of 2019, I participated to the hashtag teamprojectpan, started by Kat and Haley, the girls who run Beauty News. And I modified the project a little bit to suit my needs and my type of collection. What I did was apply this rolling full face project pan to just my base products and products that I use on an everyday basis. So for example, I kept out eyeshadows, I kept out blushes, I kept out lip products, because these are products that are colorful, and in my collection I like to have many options and many color options. So I tend to have maybe I don't know, a ton of blushes, and they all have different colors or finishes, and I don't want to pan them, and they are powder products that last a longer time. So what I wanted to do, and the goal of my project pan this year, was to use up a ton of products that I had in my collection that, for example, were mascaras, foundations, concealers, stuff that was there for a while and that I wanted to get rid of and use up. This really helped me to understand how long products last, to understand how, if I like a product, I will use it every day, and to really zone in on one product instead of using one a day of many different things. This process was also helped by decluttering, so I got rid of things that I didn't like or that I discovered that I didn't like, and that actually brought me down to a situation in which, for example, I don't have any more backup mascaras, and let me think a little bit. I have a much more limited amount of foundations. That is mainly via the declutter, but I used up a very old foundation that was a favorite of mine that I was keeping, for example. And this project pan this year was, I don't know, it fit perfectly with the goals that I had for my collection, and it really worked out well for me. That said, what was also unique and very interesting to see was tracking how long products lasted me and how much I used of each product per month. And because these were foundations, concealers, things that I used every day, you can really see how little you use on a daily basis compared to how much there is in a jar of foundation, in a tube of foundation and a tube of concealer. The most iconic, I would say, product for this project pan is my brow pomade. I have decided to tackle this Nabla brow pomade already in 2018. I already started using it daily in 2018, and I used it daily in 2019. And as you can see, there is still no pan left. I will insert an image of how it was at the beginning, because I think it is important to see that there has been a lot of progress, but this is nowhere near being finished and in over a year of daily use. So this is a cautionary tale for me with the buying of this type of products, for example. And the same goes with the face primers for me. Same goes with eyeshadow primers. One eyeshadow primer lasts you easily 3/4 of a year to a year of daily use. You need so little, your eyelids are so small. So this type of thing was really useful. We tracked our progress on an Excel sheet, on our Google sheet, but it's the same thing on our phones, and it was really useful, I think. Another thing I learned from this project pan, and I had underestimated, is that I like to use different lipsticks every day. And at the beginning of the project pan, I had added in one lip liner and one lipstick that I wanted to finish. And to be honest, I found myself quite annoyed at the idea of having to use the same color lipstick for days in a row, weeks in a row. I like wearing different colored lipsticks. I like wearing different finishes. If my lips feel dry, I'll have a creamy one. If my lips feel yeah, I don't know, better. I can wear a liquid lipstick, but also depending on the makeup that I'm doing, depending on what I'm wearing, I like to change it up. That's the fun of makeup for me. And I thought I could finish a lipstick by imposing it to myself to use it, and to be honest, I don't enjoy it. And since we are not saving the world here, we're just playing around with makeup and enjoying a collection, making more use of what we have, trying to understand more our habits and what we should or shouldn't buy more of, I decided to stop panning the lipstick and just scrap the category completely, because I don't know, I like to enjoy colorful things and change them often, daily, I would say. So that was something nice that I learned from myself this year and with this project pan. That said, I think it's a really nice way of going through your collection, and it really worked for me. And I think the spirit of having one thing in use at a time can be applied to many different categories. For example, I found out that I don't need to have more than one foundation open at a time. I do like a light coverage foundation on a daily basis, and I do like to have a special occasion or a more medium coverage foundation, for example. And the same goes for concealers. For example, I want a lighter coverage concealer with my lighter coverage base, and a medium coverage concealer for my medium coverage base. But I don't need more than that. Why would I need 5, 10 foundations? That is not the way I do my makeup. That is not where my focus is. My focus is on the eyes and lips and just color compared to the base. I like my base to work, and that's about it. So a lot of soul searching, let's say, but there were a lot of things that worked out for me, and it really helped me get through my stash. So I'm really happy of how this went. So without further ado, let's get into the last finale update and see, pulling up my Excel sheet, and let's see how I did in this last month, an update with the products of my project pan. First things first, as I usually do, my primer. This is the Cover FX Blurring Primer. I am not a primer person, but I have really put an effort into using it every time I did my makeup this month. And it worked, I would say, quite well, because I did a lot of, a little bit more heavy makeup, because I filmed a lot this month with 3 videos a week all December. And I was happy to use it. It's not something I would repurchase, and it's still not something that is finished. However, I started this on the 10th of March, and it weighed 9.2 grams, and now it weighs 7.5. So another thing, samples are infinite. They're huge, and you cannot really guess how long something will last you, because it says 5 milliliters, but it's already more than 2 grams. So I think it's quite interesting to find these things out. And I used approximately 0.4 grams this month, which is more than I've used it ever. In the summer, I barely use it because I wasn't really wearing much foundation, so I wasn't using a primer either. So I could have gone through it a little bit faster, and it is still not finished, but it's really almost there. And that is the primer. For foundation, in the last check-in, I had finished a foundation, the Estée Lauder Double Wear Light in the shade 3. So I put in my Estée Lauder Double Wear, the regular version. This is the shade 2N2 Buff. It's what I am wearing right now. I think the undertone is a bit off for me. So I have been using it a little bit, but not that much, because I had done all the testing for my light coverage foundation review that I will link up here in the cards if you're interested. It went up last week on my channel, and I didn't use it much. So last month it weighed in at 115.5 grams, and now we're at 113.5 grams. So I used 2 grams of this, but I think this is infinite. I don't think it gives you a weight of it, but the bottle is very weighty, of course, and I have added the pump that goes with it. I was talking to my friend Mariam when I met her this month. She also has a YouTube channel here, and we have similar skin tones, if not that I am a little bit warmer than her. So I'm gonna see if this fits her better, and if her warm one is too warm for her, we can exchange it, but otherwise I'll try to make it work. It's really only a winter foundation for me, so I don't know, it's a little bit also heavy for an everyday foundation for me, so I'm still powering through it, but it's yeah, it is what it is. For concealer, what I have been focusing on since the beginning of July is this Instant Age Eraser by Maybelline. And that went from my first weigh-in at 24.3 grams to today 22.4 grams. So I used just around 2 grams of product, and this also is an infinite product. You don't really use a lot, especially if you have the sponge still on it. And overall, it is still a product that I like. It's getting a little bit light for me. The sponge is grubby, so I don't know how far I will push it, but I am using it less and less now in winter. So I think this might not be something that I will continue in my next project pan, but yeah, it's still an infinite product. It's actually probably expired by now, to be honest. The concealer instead that I do like in winter more is the Maybelline Fit Me. So what happens is, indeed, I have these seasonal products that, for example, I don't use this one much in winter, but I use this a lot in summer, and I use this one more in winter. So this one was on a break because I used it, let's say, from January to June, the first half of the year, and it went at that point from 16.3 grams to 13.3. So I was using, I had used 3 grams of product by then. And then I pulled it back out this month, and I used then another, let's say 0.6 grams, because it is now at 12.63. So this one is also one of my favorite concealers, and I already have another one in a different shade. It's down to here. I really have not much left. I am definitely gonna work on finishing this one up next. Powders have been something of a struggle for me, and the reason is I have a lot of them. Because I have oily skin, I have always been searching for my perfect powder. I need to mattify my skin but not look too cakey. If you've seen my foundation, concealer and powder declutter, you've seen that I had a ton of powders that I have decluttered because either I wasn't using them, or they were just not my favorite, or they didn't work for me, or they were too heavy. So for powders, I have been working on a lot of items, or 2 powders for this project pan, which compared to other categories is a lot. And at the beginning of the year, I used the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder, and I feel like after 3 months of using it straight, it was a little bit too heavy for me. I was really struggling, so that I decluttered. And in the meantime, then I used the Neve Cosmetics Drama Matte Powder, and this is the size of the pan. So I went from no pan and this weighing 57 grams to now this pan and this weighing 53.6. So I used quite a bit of product, but you can see that there's a lot still to go through. And this is something I use pretty much on a daily basis. And yeah, I don't know, it's a nice powder. I don't know that I want to finish it per se because it's good, but then on the other hand, I have other powders. So if I push and finish this, I can dedicate myself fully to the other powders. The other powder that I added was instead a powder foundation, and this is the NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat powder foundation. I just heard from my friend Julia that she hasn't seen it for a while in the shop in Milan of NYX, in the flagship. So I am worried it's discontinuing, but I'm not really sure about it at all. I didn't Google it or anything, so don't take my word for it. This one here also has a big nice pan. I use this a lot in the summer. I started weighing it in July, where it was at 70 grams and it's now at 67.5. So I used 2.5 grams of this, and there is still a lot to go, but I'm pretty convinced this I can finish. just not in this time of the year, because in winter I do like to use more liquid products because my skin is a bit drier, and in summer instead I like to use a lighter base with a powder foundation on top. So just in general, I'm not using it much, and this month I only used 0.1 gram. I don't expect to use this at all in the coming few months. In winter, I just don't use it. So that will be on a break for a while. Eyeshadow primers. I mentioned in my introduction that those take forever to use up. So actually, at the beginning of the year, I came in with the Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer, and that one I had already started panning and using exclusively for the whole of 2018, and that finished in May 2019. So just a little count, almost 1.5 years of daily use for an eyeshadow primer. And that is a big wake-up call, you guys. It's a big wake-up call. That eyeshadow primer costs, I don't know, 3-4 euros. You don't need to spend much for it, and it will last you a year and a half. How great is that? Then I used a mini Urban Decay primer potion. That lasted me actually a good 3 or 4 months. Very happy about that. You can think of trying a few sample sizes, or if you get them in gifts with purchase. I think it works great if you want to change more often, for example. Then in October, instead, I started my Milani eyeshadow primer. This guy right here. It's still full, of course. It started, it weighed in at 13.87 and it is now at 13.15. So in these 3 months, I barely made a dent in it, I would say. So I'm expecting this to last me a very long time still, and happy usage, let's say. Mascara is the category that I use the most of. I actually went through quite a lot of them. Let me count. There was the Ico, the Marc Jacobs Mini, the Lash Sensational Primer, the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mini, the Elizabeth Arden Hold, that was the one that probably lasted me the most, the Estee Lauder Little Black Primer, and then the ones that I'm using now. So that is to say, first of all, mascaras only should last you 3 months. 3 to 6 months is, let's say, the time that I would also recommend to use mascara. It goes very close to your eyeballs, and it's a moist product. It's one of those that goes bad the fastest, but also there's not a lot in a tube. It dries out, so it's natural lifetime. I think if you use it for 6 months and you're good, just get a new one. For that same reason, I wouldn't recommend getting anything else than a drugstore mascara, because there are so many very, very good drugstore mascaras that, in my opinion, I don't need to buy a higher end one. But that is personal. So I started this Maybelline Lash Sensational on the 10th of October, and it weighed in at 25.14 grams, and now it is at 23.88. So we're 1.2 grams in, and I've used it now for 2.5 months approximately. I think it still feels very wet and very new, so this one will definitely be one of those 6 months products, I think, but let's see how it goes. I had used one of these before as well, actually multiples, because this is my favorite, but it's the first one that I actually track, so I'll keep on tracking this one. There were at least 2 primers in my previous project pan during the year, and the latest one is this Lash Sensational primer. I think I finished one at the beginning of the year, and now I am using a new one again. I started it just at the beginning of December, and it was 17.44 grams, and now it is 17.1 grams. I like to use mascara primers. They work well for me, and they last much longer than one mascara though, because in mascaras I use more coats. With a primer I only use one. Then the infamous Nabla Brow Pot, I was talking about it at the beginning. I weighed in January at 41.61 grams, and it is now at 39.78. So I barely used over a gram of this product, and it's incredible. I mean, this thing, it contains infinite amounts. You need so little also. Your brows are such a small area of your face, but it's just infinite. I think I'm gonna continue. It's starting to become like a thing. I don't, like in my Instagram captions, I don't even change my brow description because it's always this product. And the next one, which is the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. And the next one, which is the Anastasia Dip Brow Gel. This one is also a favorite of mine, and I actually had finished a previous brow gel, the ColourPop one, and this one I only started in May when I got it, and this one went from 13.09 to 11.62, and I've used it, as I said, 7 months. It's still going well. I already have a backup though, because this is around 20 euros. So getting it for, what is it, did I get it for 15? Was a good deal. And I decided to continue with these because this is one of my favorite products of the year. But now I'm spoiling another video. A great product, and yeah, this one I'll just continue using. I have other closed brow products, but I think that I'll get rid of them because it's pointless for me to try something new when I already have something that I love and ticks all the boxes for me. And that is also a big message, because if you have something that works, don't per se go around looking for something else that maybe won't improve anything compared to what you have. If you're happy with the product you have, why not stick to it? And that is a bit my philosophy, I think, for this type of products for now. Work with what you know you like. If there is something that you don't like though, you should try something new with, let's say, how do you call it? Sense, common sense, like read reviews, get a tester if you can, especially for base products that you can get a tester from. I'm not expecting to try any new powders anytime soon because I have so many to go through. But yeah, this was this year in a project pan. I think it was a very enjoyable process. It was very useful and insightful for me. I didn't think all of the check-ins were very exciting because they were products that take very long time to finish. It wasn't really exciting. There was not many pans, there's no pan porn or stuff like that. And I think that, yeah, this is more useful for me than, and maybe inspiring for you, but not very entertaining. I don't mind too much, but I always ask you at the end of the videos, are you sure you still want to see this type of content from me? But we're gonna go forward. I still need to figure out what to do next year. I am still going to use these products and probably track them, or at least track the end weight. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this year-long project pan. If you did it, let me know how it went. How was your yeah, final count for the year? I know I really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I'd love to have you in my friend group, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!